To Washington next. Donald Trump gets a victory speech of sorts. He's just hours away from being acquitted in his Senate impeachment trial, and then he's expected to speak to reporters after that happens.
Madam Speaker, the President of the United States.
Right now, he's likely basking in the afterglow of the pomp and applause from the State of the Union address. Last night's ceremonial speech to the joint session of Congress is Trump's third and his last before this fall's presidential vote. It also appears to be the launching pad for his re-election campaign, because in some ways it very much felt like a Trump rally. Our senior Washington editor, Lindsay Duncombe, was watching very closely last night. The primetime audience, he spoke for nearly 90 minutes. What stood out for you?
Well, before we get to the substance of what Donald Trump said, we have to look at the atmosphere here. To say it was partisan is not enough, really. When Donald Trump walked into the House, he came up to give the speech, and Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, the person who ran the impeachment process against Donald Trump, stuck out her hand. Donald Trump didn't shake it. And then while Donald Trump gave the speech, there were chants from Republicans, chants you would hear at a rally like 4 more years and USA, USA, as the Republicans spent much of the speech standing on their feet and applauding. Most of the time, the Democrats, the Democratic women wearing suffragette white, continued to sit down. And then another dramatic moment at the end of it all, while Donald Trump finished the speech, Nancy Pelosi ripped it up in front of the cameras, which was a clear, deliberate display of her disdain for the president. This very much was a campaign speech. In fact, the tone of the speech, very different from the inaugural address where Donald Trump talked about American carnage. Now he's pitching the change that he has made to his voters, to his base, and beyond that. So a big focus on the economy. He listed off the stock market, the new NAFTA being signed as being accomplishments he has made, change he's made for the American people. Here's some of what he said on the economy.
America's enemies are on the run. America's fortunes are on the rise, and America's future is blazing bright. The years of economic decay are over.
And as with any good campaign speech, he took a swipe at his opponents, the Democrats, particularly their health care policy, as many Democrats want to see a Medicare for all style system. Here's what he had to say about that.
As we work to improve Americans' health care, there are those who want to take away your health care, take away your doctor, and abolish private insurance entirely. To those watching at home tonight, I want you to know we will never let socialism destroy American health care.
And this was such a made-for-TV speech, Heather. There were moments here that were purely manufactured. I've heard them being described as reality TV or a game show. There was a moment when there was a family that Donald Trump mentioned standing in the gallery, 2 adorable little children, looking a bit tired for being up all that late at night. The husband, a soldier, was reunited in real time in the gallery of the House of Representatives during the speech. Another moment like that was when Rush Limbaugh, who is the incredibly divisive and controversial talk radio host here in the United States, and who just recently announced that he's been diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, was given the Medal of Freedom, standing there in the gallery. First Lady Melania Trump put it around his shoulders while the speech was going on live on television. So this is what Donald Trump does. He programmed these moments, and that's probably what people are going to remember if they were watching the speech.
I mean, it was just extraordinary for so many ways. Just even having Democrats there yelling out no, and I know some people left the chamber, and some people boycotted to begin with. I mean, as you said, the polarization and the division on full display, and there he was speaking to the very Democrats in the very, right there on Capitol Hill where they voted to impeach him. There was a lot of wondering whether he might address the whole issue of impeachment, but he didn't, Lindsay.
No, we are expecting that Donald Trump will talk about impeachment later today after the vote. I mean, the tone was certainly one of someone, a president who felt victorious, who felt exonerated, and we can expect to hear more about that after the proceedings today. We know how that vote will go. Donald Trump will be acquitted of the 2 articles of impeachment, abuse of power, and obstruction of Congress. Some elements of surprise, Heather. Will this be a full vote down partisan lines? The only Republican who hasn't said whether or not, or there's some question whether or not he would vote to convict Donald Trump on this is Mitt Romney of Utah, someone who's a longtime critic of the president and is in a safe seat in Utah. And the other question is, will Democrats who are in Trump-friendly states decide to acquit the president? There's a couple of Democrats we'll be watching for on that. But Donald Trump's acquittal, as we have been saying since the whole impeachment process began, is a foregone conclusion.
Lindsay, thank you for all of that. In very interesting 24 hours, and Lindsay's there in Washington to cover it, our senior Washington editor.